Welcome back to the Sports Authority. Skinny is back. We talked about the Reds' first half of the season. Now we're looking forward to the second half with our 5 burning questions about the Reds. Yeah, you can feel the heat coming off this red-hot baseball club. Number 1 is the red-hot rookie we're talking about, Jonathan India, the second baseman. He's solidified himself as a starter, but can Jonathan India keep up his hot start?
If you remember, he was really hot the very first week. Drove in, 11 runs. He was on pace for like 200 and something RBI, and obviously that didn't happen. Then tailed off to the point where you wondered, could he even be a starter? And then all of a sudden they put him at the top of the lineup in the leadoff spot, and it either inspired him, was the right place for him. It's kind of made this club better. Yes, to answer your question, I think he can, because I still think there's some power potential in him. I think there's a little bit more gap potential in him. And I don't think the eye's going to leave him. I think he's got a really good batting eye, and that's what I want from a leadoff guy. And that's been a big question mark for this club for the last 7 or 8 years. Who's going to hit leadoff? He's not your guy.
I'm going to ask the question here. If he keeps up that second half, is he a serious Rookie of the Year contender?
I guess he's got to be. I'd have to look at some of the others, and off the top of my head, I can't know anybody off the top of my head.
He's number 2 right now. Number 3 is Tyler Stevenson in rookie batting average.
Yeah, no, he's been great, and I'll tell you, I know he's not great defensively yet, but man, does he turn a double play really well. He's been great. He's been way more than I would have ever thought of.
And he's a lot of fun to watch, too. The kid hustles, and you got to credit him for that. All right, our second question, from a rising star to a star that we're just wondering, can he figure it out? Does Gio Suarez start the rest of the season? He's still batting under 200.
Still batting way under 200. Yeah, he does. The question is, do you want to go back to shortstop when Moustakas comes back? Because Moustakas' spot is taken by Jonathan India. Does he start every day? Maybe not. Maybe you mix some Farmer in there. Maybe you mix some Mike Freeman in there just defensively to give him a break. But yeah, right or wrong, he still has 18. He's still on pace for about 32 homers and like 90 RBI. And it's goofy to think a guy's going to bat under 200 and do those things. They've at least got him in a spot in the lineup. He doesn't kill you. He actually can occasionally help you like he did against Josh Hader. So yes, he does.
He's all or nothing, which, hey, sometimes you need the all, and he gives you the all.
And sometimes he gives you the nothing.
Yeah. More often than not at this point. Coming up next, big moment for the MLB is the trade deadline. The Reds right now sitting in contention, just a few games over 500. Do they buy, sell, or I'm going to add on top of this, stay put at the deadline?
No, I think they probably buy an arm, but you're not giving up your top product. You're not giving up your Hunter Greens and your Nick Lodolos and the Barrero kid. You're not giving any of those guys up, and really the rest of the farm system isn't great. So, yeah, can you go get a 5th-level bullpen arm? Yeah, maybe, but I would also say this. When you get Lorenzen and Antone and Sims back and you hope they pitch the way they're supposed to, some of these other guys who were back-end guys might still be on this roster, so maybe you don't have to. I know that sounds so counterintuitive, but you're not getting an outfielder. You got plenty of those. We just talked about the crowded infield at this point. You got Stevenson and Barnhart catching. I just don't see that taking place, and the rotation's been pretty good. I think it's more they'll buy an arm, or they'll still stay put, unless somehow, if they get swept by Milwaukee and have a terrible the rest of July, then all bets are off, because last I checked, Atlanta does need a right fielder, and there's a certain right fielder that could opt out in Cincinnati after this year.
Well, going on forward, you mentioned the bullpen. That has been the big question of this team. They're pitching better, but I don't think they inspire a lot of confidence. Nick Castellanos called out somebody on TV who was, saying, I don't know if it was. Sorry, Nick, if you're talking about me. What can be done, though, to fix this bullpen, at least going forward in those pressure situations?
I think some of it is honestly, if I were to tell you the 4 best bullpen arms before the year started were Lorenzen, Sims, Antone, and Amir Garrett. Well, 3 of them are hurt, and 1 of them hasn't been very good. So I think what can be done is those guys have to get back to full health, and Amir Garrett has to get back to pitching well. He's done that here of late. He gave up obviously the single today to tie the game. It was more him giving up the stolen base than the single. I think he'll pitch better in the second half, get those guys back. I think that's what fixes the Reds bullpen.
All right, now the big question going forward for the second half, and our final burning question, are the Reds contenders?
Absolutely. They've played their way into a spot where it's going to be such a fun series when they come back after the All-Star break. Don't have to sweep it now. Win 2 of 3, chop another game off, get it to 3. And then Milwaukee suddenly faces a much tougher schedule. Their schedule in June was absurdly easy, as we talked about in the last segment. They're going to face a tougher schedule. The Reds are going to face a little bit lesser schedule. You don't have to suddenly go, beat really good teams in that last couple of months. So yes, I do think that they will. Milwaukee's not hit all year. They do have a good rotation. We saw this weekend their bullpen started to get hit. Maybe they're getting tired because they use them a lot. Maybe they wear down in the last couple of months. So yeah, absolutely. I'd be stunned unless they somehow come out of this All-Star break and get swept by Milwaukee. Then there's no question in my mind they are.
Now, when you say contenders, I'm going to ask the follow-up here. what is this team ceiling?
Get in the play. I don't see them being any better than the Padres or the Dodgers or even the Mets in a short series. I mean, if you can throw Jacob deGrom twice in a short series, I mean, how do
you can't do anything against that.
How do you beat that? But you also get a chance to send out Tyler Mahle, Sonny Gray, Luis Castillo. If Castillo continues to pitch the way he is, I like those matchups a little bit. Maybe the Giants are a paper team that, to their credit, they keep winning, and you look around going, they're still not better on paper than the Dodgers or Giants. Maybe you get lucky and you face them in a series. So, it's not a World Series team, in my opinion. They would have to get extraordinarily lucky and have a lot of things fall right because the Padres and Dodgers are just so talented. But you make the playoffs and win a division, I think it's a great step forward. And I think the city would absolutely embrace it over the last couple months.